Hello everyone, welcome to KJHK 90.7 Live at Session. I am here with Micah Reynolds,
Yes.
post Live at Session. We're so happy to have you here. I've been wanting to get people from the station in for such a long time, so it is a real pleasure.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a pleasure to play.
Yeah, and it's a pleasure listening to you
Thank
play.
you. I appreciate it.
It really is. You do some really crazy stuff, and
Thank you.
I've got some questions loaded up for you. But
Cool,
first
cool.
off, I'd just like to know just where you're from and where do you perform your music?
Okay. I'm from San Angelo, Texas. Shout out 325. Yeah, but I moved here halfway through high school, so kind of also from Lawrence, Baldwin area. And I do music all around. I've been releasing music publicly since I was 15 years old, so I've got
Really?
6 years of music out there. I've got like 3 albums if anyone's interested. Everything I played tonight was from my newest.
They're all they wouldn't be watching.
Yes,
they wouldn't be watching.
So yeah, I've been releasing music, like solo music, for a while, but playing, I don't play with my solo music too much, but when I do a lot in the Lawrence area. I'm playing at, like, I've played so far with this project in Northside Social, at the ECM, a few other places. I played in KC a few gigs. Yeah, I play around.
Yeah, you have a couple of active groups too.
Yeah, I also play in a group called Mosaic. Shout out Mosaic.
Shout out Mosaic.
That's also
Oh
a
my
lot
gosh.
of other KJ people. That's kind of some like fusion, jazz, funky kind of stuff. But we do some kind of weirder stuff as well too. So if you like that, check us out. I play with Mosaic a lot more often than my solo project. Then I also have a project called Sputnik that we're no longer playing, but we should have our one and only album out soon.
Which is also really good, and I've also listened to.
Yeah.
I genuinely, any project you touch, I'm like,
Thank
I
you.
got it.
I appreciate it. I will say, my role, I feel like in a lot of ways, is like production stuff. That's definitely where I like fall under. So like a lot of my roles in the bands, besides playing instruments and writing here and there, is I do a lot of the production for it.
Wow. Okay. So just all rounded in terms of the
so,
creative process.
So look out for the Micah Reynolds production.
Micah Reynolds production. So there's so much music being produced. There's so much music coming out under your name. I'm just curious. Where do you think this music comes from? What is the source? and also, just why? Why is this music coming out the way it is?
That's a good question. Oh, dang. I think, in some ways, it's like, I just love art. I've been doing art since I was a little kid. Visual art is the first art I ever touched. I do a lot of the visual art for my covers, and in groups I play in covers. So I've always been interested in art. So there's the artistic aspect. I think really for me, I really like, I think I kind of learn a lot about myself making music, and in some ways it's kind of just like, I don't know how to put it into words, like creating how I see myself in some ways, like as a sound, an auditory variant. And I think it's just like, I don't know, I think it's making sense of the world and making sense of myself. And since I've also been doing it for so long, part of it's kind of doing it for myself and making sense of the world and how I fit into it, and honestly a therapy in a lot of ways. But on the other half, since I've been doing it so long, I now kind of feel like it's documenting my life, because I have recorded music since, I know I said I've released since I was 15, but I've been recording since I was 14. So I have 7 years of music that I've recorded, and so, I mean, that's a third of my life. So I think now it's like simultaneously while kind of being a therapy in some ways, I think it's kind of a scrapbook, like an audio scrapbook of my life. And it's really fun sometimes to, like, I don't like to listen to my own music after I've released it, but every once in a while I'll have like a sentimental moment where I'll like go down and listen, and I'm hearing my voice change, I'm hearing the things I'm saying change, my production change, and I think like near the end of my life it'll be a really beautiful perspective to be able to like literally listen through my life.
Yeah, I think as artists, it's always a really, really cool kind of paradigm shift when you see your art taking on a life of its own.
Yeah,
it's
fun.
becoming this thing, because originally it's you and it comes from you.
Mm-hmm.
It may not be about you, but it is you. But it just grows and it keeps growing until eventually you're just like looking at something outside of yourself.
Yeah.
And it's
cool.
Fascinating.
And sometimes it can seem like a kind of aestheticized version of yourself.
Yeah.
But then sometimes you're like, maybe this is also just like purely me,
Yeah.
It's cool stuff. I like it.
It is great.
I love making art and I love scrapbooking my life through audio.
That's awesome. Yeah. So there's a lot of I think one of the bigger adjectives I can use to describe is just kind of I don't want to say like hazy, but in the way that haze moves and is kind of ambiguous.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that sense in just the sound and the texture of your music.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about, I guess, the genre of your music and perhaps what led to that?
Yeah, that's always a weird thing for me to answer because just from what I played tonight, we had bossa nova, we had some reggaeton, we had just kind of indie rock, noise. I really do think our generation of creators is paving a really cool sound that's happening right now, and I think in some ways I'm just kind of hopping on the bandwagon, and I think a lot of people are doing it in a lot of different ways, but there's something that like everyone says, and I really like when people say, it's like, what type of music do you listen to? Like, I listen to all types of music. I feel like that is so synonymous with our generation it's almost becoming the sound of our generation. It's
wow,
this, and since we have such easy access to music, like way easier access than any other generation, we're getting so much input, like we're getting so many sounds. I think that in some ways we're kind of an amalgamation of a lot of the music that's come before us. So I think in a lot of ways, like, I'm just kind of making the sound that's happening right now, and that's in some ways, which maybe it's a little contradictory, I kind of feel like I'm pop in some ways, because I know it's like weird and you wouldn't think of it in that way, but pop really is kind of doing some stuff like that, some really interesting genre morphs. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, I get billed a lot of time with psychedelic stuff. I definitely love the psychedelic realm, and I love my music to kind of go that way. I love the drifting of it.
It's a really cool sound.
Yeah,
it always is super unique. Whenever anyone does psychedelic,
I love psychedelic.
It always tends to sound so individualistic.
Yeah, and it's to me, psychedelic music is just like kind of spiritual music in a lot of ways, and
that would make sense.
It. I love. So I would say like psychedelic pop. Some friends say like acid pop, maybe experimental at points, but I would say that. You could also say OCD music. Because I have really bad OCD, and if you ever want to know what OCD sounds like, listen to that live. Yeah, so it's OCD music probably.
well, we've got this OCD music, this hazy, ambiguous, psychedelic music that's coming from you that is sort of a scrapbook of your life and also kind of a model of your life as well. So it may be synonymous with what you've already said, but I'm curious what you intend for the music to do once it reaches the listener's ear. Or if you even have the listener in mind, because I've asked this question before, and sometimes the listener isn't a part of the process at all, or a part of the thought.
Some stuff I'm making, I really just like don't really even fathom other people listening to. I do really appreciate ambient and noise music. Like, for instance, on my newest album, I have a tune called The Man Next Door, which is just like, it's a little scary. It's kind of like a scary tune, and I don't even know if you could necessarily call it music. Yeah. And I love that, but like, never did I expect anyone to like it. But honestly, a few people have really enjoyed it. So I don't really know if I'm thinking all the time what I'm wanting them to. I do think I like, going back to the psychedelia, I do think I like my music to kind of like guide experiences sometimes. And I think, like, if people are just, I don't know, I think it's definitely psychedelic music. And in the same ways that, we saw waves of that in the 60s and 70s, and kind of the ethos behind listening to that, I think it's similar with mine. And also just like, for weird people out there. You know, I feel pretty weird. So I feel like hopefully some people out there are like, wow, this feels weird in a comfortable way.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. That's a correct answer.
Yes,
that's the right answer.
Thank you. That's what I go for.
So we're making all of these sounds. I am now curious, as a musician myself, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people who follow KJ who are also musicians or creatives in their own right. I think the tool is not as important, but it's an important part of the process, as is the artist is. So tell me about some of the tools that you've got here. I see we've got a laptop, a guitar, a keyboard.
Yeah,
I want to know.
With my recording process, like I said, I do a lot of productions, a lot of studio stuff. So I just, in some ways, try and bring the studio to the live setting. I also play with a band. It's 8 members, which is kind of a fluctuating lineup. So the sound's always changing. But for this gear, I got this Akai. It's a MPK 249. My favorite band, shout out Jadu Heart. They've been my favorite since I was a kid. They use this for their live performances, and so I was always like, oh, I need one of those. And I saw this on Facebook Marketplace for $125, so I copped it immediately. This is like a MIDI controller, so I'm running a lot from FL Studio. All you haters out there, the DAW does not matter. It depends on who's using the DAW. I hear so much hate against FL Studio, against Pro Tools, Ableton. I can do on FL Studio what I can do on Ableton. I know both.
Take that. Take that.
But I'm using FL Studio, and so this is basically just controlling the sequence in here, and I have a lot of samples. These are controlling stuff like, I'm sure you heard it at some points, I was like messing with the EQ, I was adding reverbs and delays.
Oh, yeah.
So these are cued to samples, and they're adding effects to the samples. I have a drum pad for stuff. I have my guitar.
Interesting. Wow.
The High Priestess is what I call her.
that's so sick.
Yeah. And then, I got my amp. This is the old Fender Champion 110 that I got on Facebook Marketplace. And then the pedals, it's really not much, but I'm working with TC Electronic Dark Matter. It's kind of like a electronic distortion, just gritty sound.
Can you get that up to the camera here? Because they're cool. You want to see these things.
Here's what I'm rocking with. So this is the TC Electronic Dark Matter. Great distortion. I love it. Check it out. This I will always, and I'm not sponsored by them, but this Atlantic delay and reverb is like the best delay and reverb pedal I've ever used in my life. Beautiful sound. And then a loop station. I'm doing all the loops, the weird stuff with that.
Sick.
That's what I'm rocking today.
Sick. It's kind of amazing, honestly, how... I mean, I know that you've got a DAW running behind all of it, but still, I think it's all kind of like patched together. Like, I've never seen this dark matter with a loop pedal and then a MIDI keyboard. It's just like it's so akin to what the music sounds like. It makes a lot of sense.
I wanted to bring the studio to the performance, and I'm a producer, so I wanted to be a producer when I perform if I can.
Awesome.
In any ways I can, but yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. So to I guess we're wrapping up here, but to everyone who's watching behind the screen, there may be creatives out there or wanna be creatives, people who enjoy making art but don't necessarily see it as anything more as a pastime. What would you say to someone who's looking to take the steps to maybe doing something like this or to putting their art in front of an audience?
This is like probably the most basic answer I'll have tonight, and everyone says it, but it is so true. And I've met so many artists in my life that just like don't do this step. Literally put it out there. Like, I know people that are sitting on loads and loads of work and they just don't put it out. And I know that there's like definitely a fear of how you'll be perceived, and once it's out. But like, please put it out there, because that's the hardest step. And once you put it out there, you put out the next and the next and the next, and it gets easier and easier, and you get more confident in it. So just put it out there. It's good.
Sweet.
Good work.
Fantastic. I second that. Put your art out there in front of people.
It's worth it.
Yeah, it deserves to be seen.
And it will find somebody.
It always does. Isn't that
does.
weird how
Yeah,
it always
does.
manages to find at least one person?
It does, yeah.
Fantastic. Well, this has been Micah Reynolds. You've been an absolute pleasure to have here in the studio, and an absolute pleasure to work with.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess you have music out, right?
Yeah.
Just one more time for I guess the plug.
Micah Reynolds, MicahReynolds. You can find it on any streaming platforms. You can follow me on Instagram at Micah Ray Music. That's MicahRey Music. I just put out 2 records. It's the same album, but they sound completely different. I have physical media as well too, if you like CDs and stuff. So yeah. Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, again, thanks for being here. This has been our live at sessions at KJHK 90.7. You can check our YouTube channel for more content or our socials for more of our beautiful faces. Thank you very much.
Keep it locked.